Everybody loves to debate single malts, but the reality is blended Scotch runs the world.
Today, we're ranking the top 20 best-selling blended Scotches in the United States, even throwing in a few blended malts so you don't waste your money on the wrong bottle. We each scored these blended Scotches based on a scale of 0 to 100, ranking these bottles only against the other bottles on this list, not against every other bottle in the world. But before we dive in, we have a massive special announcement at the end of this video, so stick around for that. And if you want to support the channel, check out our whiskey-themed merch. We've got movie parody tees, seasonal drops, and our best-selling malt whiskey tea.
The link is in the description below, including 10% off your first order. Grab something you like, and we'll keep the whiskey rankings coming.
With number 20, we've got Sia. Who came up with this name?
I don't know, I thought it was at first a music artist, but it's not.
Sia is one of the newer blends on this list, created by a Cuban-American founder, blended specifically to appeal to bourbon drinkers, like myself.
Oh.
And it's got some nice vanilla and citrus notes. It leans just a little young, but it's flavorful, it's approachable, and way better than people expect at this price point. Maybe I'm biased, but I'm gonna give this sucker an 83.
I actually liked it more than I expected because I really knew nothing about it beforehand. It's super approachable, light oak, easy sipper, and I think it fills a nice lane for people who say they don't like Scotch, but haven't tried the right one yet. I gave this one an 86.
Wow, I like where this is going, Ryan.
I know. Good start for the blended Scotch.
Yeah.
Between your 83 and my 86, that averages out to an 85, which puts Sia in the B tier. Up next at number 19, we've got Scoresby. Scoresby is one of those bottles you only see in the huge 1.75 liter jugs on the bottom of the shelf. And honestly, it tastes exactly like the price tag. Grain forward, a little bitey on the finish. I gave this one a 62.
All right, here we go.
We started out so good with Sia, and then in comes Scoresby to ruin the party.
It is a downward spiral. That's what this is gonna be. Yeah, this is the kind of Scotch that makes people think that they don't like Scotch. It's cheap, and worst of all, it tastes cheap. It's sharp, flat, and completely forgettable. I gave this frat party plastic bottle a 55. Between your 62 and my 55, that averages out to a 59, giving Scoresby the honor of being a high-ranking member of the F tier. Number 18 is Inverhouse. Inverhouse is one of the cheapest ways to technically say you're drinking Scotch, and honestly, for 12 bucks, I guess you could do worse. Light, grassy, a little malty sweetness, but nothing here really sticks to landing. I actually scored this cheap crap a 71.
Look, it's not terrible, but it's also not memorable. Think of it as the Scotch equivalent of store brand cereal. It'll get the job done, but you're not bragging about it to anyone. I gave it a 65. Well, with your 71 and my 65, that averages out to a 68, which drops Inverhouse into the D tier.
The one of many.
Yes.
Spoiler alert.
Up next at number 17, we've got Old Smuggler. Now this one is really popular in Argentina and parts of Europe, and apparently it sells well in the US too, but I've never seen anyone buy it, much less talk about it. That being said, it is technically drinkable. It's a little nutty, touch of smoke, but pretty flat overall. I gave it a 68.
Well, I'm glad it's technically drinkable. Nothing offensive, nothing exciting, just a background whiskey that'll get lost in a mixed drink. I've seen worse, so I scored it a 70.
You know, if we would have done this list a few weeks ago, we wouldn't have seen worse. But we rated the top selling whiskeys in the world, and we have seen worse.
Yes, and the things that we put ourselves through for the enjoyment of our fine viewers. Between your 68 and my 70, that averages out to a 69, which lands Old Smuggler in the D tier. And that makes 2 in a row right in the D. Number 16 is John Bar. John Bar is kind of like the off-brand Johnnie Walker. Same vibe, similar bottle shape, but way cheaper. And honestly, it's not bad. Caramel, a little toffee, some mild smoke. Again, kind of on a curve here, I'm gonna give it a 78.
I think your off-brand Johnnie Walker comment was spot on. This is one of those bottles that shocks people when they find out it's around 20 bucks. It's not complex, but it's clean, it's balanced, and way better than most of the budget blends on this list. I landed at a 76. With your 78, my 76, that averages out to a 77, putting John Bar in the C tier. Coming in at number 15, we've got Highland Mist. Highland Mist is not very good. It's the kind of bottle you see in a plastic handle, and the taste matches the packaging. Thin, harsh grain, almost no malt character, and a finish that feels like instant regret. I still tried to be generous, and I gave it a 50.
This is what happens when a distillery says, what's the cheapest crap we can possibly make to sell this trash heap to college students? It's hot, metallic, and it's hardly redeemable. I scored this crap a 40. Between your 50 and my 40, that averages out to a 45, which plummets Highland Mist into the F tier. Number 14 is bells. That's it. It's just bells.
Just bells?
Just bells.
Christmas bells, jingle bells,
They don't even bother to tell you.
sleigh bells?
They don't care.
No?
No. And you know what? Bells, I don't care about you either. Now, Bells is a legend in the UK, but over here in the States, it doesn't seem to have the same lore. It's grain heavy, it has no depth, and the finish just kind of evaporates into moist cardboard. I gave this piece of crap a 35.
You know, Bell's is one of those bottles where you really want the history to matter, but then you taste it. There's a tiny hint of malt sweetness, but it completely disappears under the grain whiskey. I landed at a 45, and even that felt generous. You know where this is going. Between your 35 and my 45, that averages out to a 40, which keeps Bell's in the F tier. Up next at number 13, we've got Label 5. Label 5 is one of the biggest blended scotches in the world. Flavor-wise, it's light, a little floral, some honey, pretty easy drinking, just nothing that really sticks, so I landed at a 71.
Yeah, this is one of those bottles that to me is way better than its position on the shelf. It's simple, but it's clean, it's smooth, and honestly, a solid everyday pour if you could find it, maybe. I gave it a 74. Pretty mediocre. I don't care. Between your 71 and my 74, that averages out to a 73, which puts Label 5 in the C tier. Number 12 on our list is Cutty Sark. Cutty Sark used to be everywhere in the US, and even though it's faded a bit, it still delivers that classic light, citrus-forward style. Nothing too deep, nothing too smoky, just an easy, slightly sweet blend that goes down relatively smoothly. It's another mediocre bottle in a sea of mediocrity. I scored it a 72.
This is one of the few blends that actually tastes like it was designed for highballs. It's bright, clean, little bit of lemon peel, but not much beyond that. I landed at a 70.
Yeah.
Between your 72 and my 70, that averages out to a 71, which keeps Cutty Sark in the sea of mediocrity tier. Coming in at number 11, we've got Old Par 12. Now, Old Par is massive in Latin America, and once you get a taste of it, you get why. It's rich, rounded, with this soft toffee and toasted grain thing that really works. I landed right at an 80.
Yeah, Old Par is a hit with my family. It's got more depth than most blends at this price, a little fruit, some gentle smoke, and it's easy to sip. For the first time today, Ryan, Old Par brought us together because we're finally in sync. I also gave it an 80.
I didn't think it was gonna happen today.
I know, we've been skirting around it. You
Yep.
know, we haven't had any big disagreements, but we certainly are in sync now.
Look at that, I'll take it.
Between both of our 80s, Old Par 12 finds itself in the B tier. Our number 10 best-selling blended Scotch in the US is Clan MacGregor. Well, we're back in Kakaland. Clan MacGregor is a true bottom shelf warrior, and unfortunately, it tastes like one. Thin, grainy, hot on the finish, and barely any malt character holding it together. I gave this trash heap a 33.
Yeah, I get it. It's rough. I didn't love it either, but I've definitely had worse.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, it's cheap, functional, and barely passable in a mixer, which is how it squeaked its way to a 60 on my end. Between your 33 and my 60, that averages out to a 47, still landing Clan MacGregor well in the F tier.
Where you belong, Clan MacGregor.
Cracking number 9, we've got Grant's Triplewood. This one is one of those bottles that reminds you why blended Scotch can be good when it's done right. It's aged in 3 different cask types, a little fruity, a little spicy, some caramel sweetness, and way more balance than the price suggests. I landed at a 79.
Yeah, it's solid for what it is. It's not blowing anybody's mind, but definitely more rounded than most blends in this price range. Good everyday pour, just didn't quite have that extra layer to push it higher for me, so I gave it a 72. Between your 79 and my 72, that averages out to a 76, which puts Grant's Triplewood in the C tier. Number 8 on our list is the Famous Grouse. Famous Grouse is the definition of a classic, blended to be smooth, balanced, and super approachable. A little bit of citrus, a little bit of malt, and a touch of honey. It's not crazy, but at least it's easy to drink. When you spend your day in Kakaland, Ryan, it's nice to take a pit stop at the Grouse House. I scored this one an 86.
Grouse is one of those bottles that reminds you why blends took over the world in the first place. It's reliable, it's versatile, and way better than the price suggests. I landed just a tick lower at 85. We were almost in sync, but not quite.
Oh my goodness, Ryan. You should have just lied and said you were in sync.
Between your 86 and my 85, that averages out to an 86, which puts Famous Grouse in the B tier. Up next at number 7, we've got J&B Rare. J&B is one of the most famous blended scotches in the world, but the flavor hasn't exactly kept up with its reputation. It's light, very grain forward, a little bit of citrus, but it fades fast and leaves you wanting a whole lot more. I gave it the old 69.
I'm sure you did. This one was a letdown for me. Big name, big history, small flavor. It's not awful, but it tastes like it was built to be mixed with club soda in a party. I scored it a 60.
How many times in your life have you done this?
Too many. Between your 69 and my 60, that averages out to a 65, which drops J&B into the D tier. Number 6 is Buchanan's Deluxe 12. Buchanan's 12 is huge in the US Latin market. It has a little orange peel and vanilla on the palate, and it leans sweeter and softer than most classic blends. It's another mediocre bottle though, and I landed it right at 75.
It's an easy sipper and it's very crowd friendly, but it doesn't have a ton of depth, and that low proof really holds it back for me. Still a pleasant pour, just not very exciting. We are in sync yet again because I too scored it a 75. Well, that obviously averages out to a 75, which puts Buchanan's 12 in the C tier. All right, now before we hit the top 5 blended scotches, we're gonna make a quick pit stop because there's another category we need to rank.
Everything we covered so far has been blended Scotch, and that means that it's a mix of malt whiskey and grain whiskey. But blended malts are different. They're 100% malt whiskey, just blended from different distilleries.
So we decided to score 5 of the most popular blended malts to see how they stack up. We'll run through those real quick, and then we'll jump back into the top 5 blended scotches.
Number 5 is Sheep Dip. Sheep Dip is one of those bottles with a great story, a terrible name, and blended from a bunch of different single malts. And it actually delivers a nice mix of orchard fruit, light spice, and coastal malt character. Funny name, but solid whiskey. I gave it a 77.
Don't let the name fool you. There are 0 sheep involved, nobody dipped anything, and I promise it tastes way better than it sounds.
That's a relief.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that because I was concerned that I was drinking sheep.
This thing has good malt character, sticks around longer than most blends at this price. I landed at an 82. Between your 77 and my 82, that averages out to an 80, sneaking Sheep Dip into the B tier. Our number 4 blended malt is Campbelltown Lock. Now, Campbelltown Lock already had my attention because I am a sucker for anything out of Campbelltown. And this one is a blend of all 5 malts from Campbelltown's 3 distilleries. It's oily, coastal, funky. I gave it an 88.
Yeah, this one has that classic Campbelltown personality. A little bit of brine, touch of smoke, malty sweetness, and way more depth than most blended malts. I scored it an 84. Between your 88 and my 84, that averages out to an 86, which puts Campbelltown Lock in the B tier.
Good start from the blended malts.
Man, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
There's that other grainy crap that doesn't. Number 3 on our list of blended malts is Johnnie Walker Green Label. Johnnie Walker Green is the odd one out on the Johnnie Walker lineup because unlike red, black, and blue, which are all blended scotches, this one is a blended malt. It's got big flavors, great balance, and easily the most underrated bottle in the Johnnie Walker family. I scored it a 92.
Not to mention, the blend here is killer. It brings together whiskeys from the Highlands, the Lowlands, Speyside, and Islay, matured for at least 15 years. For a bottle that you can find for around $60, that's insane value. I give this one a 90. With your 92 and my 90, that averages out to 91, putting Johnnie Walker Green in the A tier, finally.
We finally got one.
Finally.
And it's not even the original list that we were covering.
I know.
But we got one there.
Yeah. Number 2 on our blended malts, we've got Compass Box, the Peat Monster. Compass Box does blended malts better than just about anyone. And the Peat Monster is the perfect example. It's got big smoke, some of that coastal brine, waxy malt, and it still manages to stay elegant instead of turning into an ashtray. I gave this one a 94.
This is what happens when you blend Islay and the Highlands the right way. It's made up mainly of Lefroy and Kalila, 2 of the powerhouses from Islay. But it also has a very small element of Highland malt blend in the mix. This thing has layers of peat, of smoke, and sweetness that just keeps unfolding. I love me some peat, Ryan, and this has the right amount. It's an absolute flavor bomb and an easy 96 from me.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Is this happening?
Do you know what that means, Ryan? Between your 94 and my 96, that averages out to a 95, which finally takes us away from the crowded D and C tiers and catapults Peat Monster in the S tier. We finally have a top tier whiskey on this list.
About time.
And now our number 1 best-selling blended malt in the US. and that is Monkey Shoulder. Monkey Shoulder is the blended malt that basically kicked the door open for the category. 100% malt whiskey, built from Speyside single malts and designed to be super mixable and great on its own. This one is buttery, malty, and has a little vanilla cream element to it. I scored it a 92.
This is the bottle that turned a lot of bourbon drinkers into Scotch drinkers. There's no grain whiskey, no harsh edges, just a clean, approachable malt blend with real flavor. It doesn't get too fancy, but it absolutely delivers. I landed at an 87. Well, between your 92 and my 87, that averages out to a 90, which puts Monkey Shoulder in the A tier. All right, blended malts handled, tiers assigned, no sheep were actually dipped, so now it's time to get back to the main event. And at number 5 for our blended scotches, we've got Dewar's White Label. I had fun in the blended malt land while it lasted.
I did too. It's like going to Cancun and then staying in a really crappy hotel and watching everybody else having fun through the window. We took a nice little dip, we got some sun, and we got back into our crappy hotel. Here we are, Kakaland again.
Damn it. Dewar's White Label is one of the most recognizable blend scotches on the planet. Light honey, a little citrus, very easy to drink, but it definitely plays it safe. I landed at a 77.
It's smooth, it's consistent, it's everywhere, but it's also a little too gentle for me. Great mixer, okay neat, just doesn't give me a ton of personality. I gave it a 76. Between your 77 and my 76, that averages out to a 77, which puts Dewar's White Label in the C tier. Number 4 on this glorious list is Chivas Regal 12. Chivas 12 is the textbook definition of a classic blend. Rich honey, soft fruit, creamy malt, and actually, it's smooth, which is a lot more than we could say for any other bottle here.
Yeah, that's very true.
Great for mixing, even enjoyable neat. I scored it an 80.
Yeah, Chivas is like the dress shoes of blended scotch. It's not exciting, but classy and polished.
I didn't know where we were going with this, but
yeah,
I like where we went.
Yeah. I don't have many dress shoes, but I know when I see it.
Yeah, well, they're not very exciting, but they're classy and polished.
This thing has good balance, great texture, and honestly a reminder of how good a blend can be when it leans into malt flavor. I landed at an 84. With your 80 and my 84, that averages out to an 82, putting Chivas Regal 12 in the B tier. Cracking our top 3 blended scotches in the US, we've got Ballantine's Finest. Ballantine's is huge globally, and even though it sells quite a bit in the US, we really don't talk about it, and the flavor kind of explains why. I had some notes here I want to say about it, but it's just not very good. I gave it a 69.
Fair enough. Ryan, this thing is barely floating along in Kakaland.
Oh, dude.
It's very unrefined on the palate, way too light. It sells like crazy all over the world, but solely on its price. I am convinced of that, and I scored this crap a 65. I think I scored it too high. I should have gone lower.
I think we both did.
Yeah. Between your 69 and my 65, that averages out to a 67, which lands Ballantine's Finest somehow in the D tier. Number 2 best-selling blended scotch is Johnnie Walker Black. Johnnie Walker Black is what happens when a blended scotch decides that it actually wants to have flavor. 12 years old, big malt backbone, balanced smoke, dried fruit, vanilla, and that hint of peat in the finish. Make no bones about it, this is the best blended grain scotch in the world. Fight me about it. I scored it a 95.
This is the bottle that proves blended scotch can be legit. Campfire smoke, sweet malt, a little sherry depth, and still, it stays silky. If every blend tasted like this, single malts would actually have competition. I landed at a 94. Between your 95 and my 94, that averages out to a 95, putting Johnnie Walker Black in the S tier for this list. The moment you've all been waiting for, the #1 selling blended scotch in the US, Johnnie Walker Red Label. So, everything I said about Johnnie Walker Black, flip it upside down for the Red Label. This is awful. It has almost no depth, and the smoke feels more like burnt plastic than peat. This is the definition of brand carries the bottle. I gave it a 40.
Wow. So you think this is worse than those plastic bottles that are in the bottom of the shelf that we covered in the beginning? Wowie, wow, wow. Red Label moves millions of cases because it's everywhere and it's cheap, not because it tastes great. That said, I think Ryan's being a little harsh on JW. It's fine in a mixed drink, and I'm giving it a 69. Between your 40 and my 69, that averages out to a 55, which drops Johnnie Walker Red into the F tier.
All right, we promised a special announcement and it's a doozy. Barrel Hunters is closing in on 10,000 subscribers. And as a thank you, we will host our first live stream where we drink, share behind the scenes stories of our shenanigans, and interact directly with you.
Once we reach 10,000 subs, we'll pick a date for us to party together. So please consider subscribing to our channel. If you want more rankings, we've got our single malt Scotch tier list and an Irish whiskey tier list linked on our screen right now.
In the meantime, drop your thoughts in the comments and grab some merch if you want to support the channel and skip the red label. Until next time,
Cheers.